Well, maybe we could look at, no? No. 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 I said no. No.
Headed to Tim Hortons, babe. Would you like me to grab you a coffee?
Oh, hey, baby. No. I mean, yeah, I would love a coffee. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to join your coaching program, but 10 weeks is just too long. Could I just show up when I can and still achieve results?
No. Hey, coach. I want to be more consistent, but I don't like to practice. So if I buy new clubs, that should make me hit it straighter, right?
No.
Hi, Coach Chad. I hear you can save me 10 shots, but I only like private lessons. Can I sign up?
No.
Good morning, guys. This is awesome.
Okay.
What a great group of people. All right. Well, welcome to today's RGX Coach Spotlight Call. I'm RGX Coach and Mentor Dan Boubany, and it is my pleasure today to introduce Canada's own, Canada's finest, Chad Feener, who would describe himself as an old young pro. He's, I'm just going to say, in his early 40s, as am I, so I can certainly relate to that. And he's only been in the industry for about 5 years. So he really hasn't had an opportunity to develop maybe what he would call a lot of bad habits. So he provides he'll have a unique perspective for you this morning, and he's going to share some great stories. He's very passionate. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please allow me to, just before I introduce Chad, just a couple of quick things. Please hold your questions for Chad until the very end. I'm sure you will have them, but let's hold those to the very end so that he can go through his presentation. And then also, just wanted to remind you to mute your audio so that we can get as clean of an audio recording as possible. So if coaches want to go back and watch this at a later date at their convenience, they can and get a really clean audio recording. So now, without further ado, please allow me to present to you Mr. Chad Feener. Chad, take it away.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm glad you guys can make it. I'm not seeing my ability to share the screen, Dan, so great start to the presentation.
Go down to the bottom where it says share screen, and then you should be able to click it.
Oh, here we go. There we go.
All right.
Share screen.
There you go.
Now you let me know if it's up
rolling.
there. Share.
There we go.
You see it?
Got it, man.
All right. Hey, everybody. So first thing I want to get going with is I'm going to jump into, well, my presentation today is all about the power of saying no. Don't underestimate the power of just being a good human being. And the last thing there is welcome to the fellowship. And the fellowship, to me, the biblical definition of a fellowship is sharing together in a common life, common goals, in other believers through relationships with God and Jesus. Fellowship is first and foremost a relationship rather than the activity. And the principle is that any activity that follows should come out of the relationship. So this is by no means an RGX approved statement. This is basically what RGX has meant to me in the 13 months that I've been with them. And it's a community of golf coaches, instructors, and industry members that believe through relationships and support, we can find our true purpose as an industry member. We can find our true meaning and identify the why we want to be a golf professional. And these principles and working together, we can achieve the goal of a healthier life balance, becoming a better human being, and finding the wealth of life. So I'm usually not this deep, but this is what RGX has honestly meant to me in the last year or so. So if you're a PGA member who feels like there should be more to this industry, this is for you. If you're tired of being stuck to a job description and feel like you have more to offer, not just to your students, but to yourself, this presentation is for you. If you feel like you're trapped, you're alone, nobody's listening to you, you need some guidance, you need some motivation, this presentation is for you. So thank you, Dan, for the intro. My name is Chad Feener. I'm a very proud member of the PGA of Canada. As Dan said, I consider myself an old, young golf pro. Joined the industry in 2016. Successfully passed my player ability test, not even knowing what it was, in 2016, to be quite honest. I'm a proud husband, coach, and father of 4. Again, been with the RGX community for about a year, a little over a year. And in 2021, got into the industry on my new career path as a entrepreneur, following in the footsteps of my parents, and owner operator of Chad Feener Golf. And the biggest thing that I've learned before and after being with RGX, that I now measure my success not just on accolades, trophies, and money that I bring in, but on the results, the relationships, the experience, and the value that I bring to my students. So I want to ask, can anybody on here, does everybody really understand what their true purpose is in life as a person, as a golf coach? Today, I'm not really here to talk to you about all the money I made in 2021, about all the great relationships that I made, but a combination of what RGX has taught me and what my upbringing, what my parents has shown me and shared with me growing up. So in order to find happiness, my family has always taught me that I need 3 pillars of my life, and that's family, community, and a relationship with God. Being a good human being, taking care of myself and my family, and always doing my part to make everybody around me smile, even though sometimes I myself didn't want to smile. I've been told over my lifetime on many occasions that I'm too nice, too emotional. I'm a yes guy. I live a servant mentality. I've always lived that my entire life. I've made decisions, life choices, employment opportunities. I've always made these decisions based on how much money I can make. As long as I'm making the people around me happy, I'm a success. It was never based on my own personal gains or my own happiness. And over my life, this isn't up here to make you guys feel bad for me, but over my life, I've gone through divorce, bankruptcy, I've been unemployed, and all these experiences, all these times that I've stumbled has honestly made me who I am today. And I want you to understand that that's life. As an older guy, as a 42-year-old, I no longer waste my time on grudges, anger, jealousy, feeling bad for myself or negative situations. I move on. I have no more time for that in my life. And that's obvious. And that's also something that's really helped me achieve the success that I have with RGX. So what do you want in life? It's really time for you guys to start getting a little bit more vulnerable with yourselves, asking yourselves the tougher questions, and more importantly, answering those tougher questions with your heart and just what's in your mind, not how it affects everybody else around you. Do you remember life? So again, I'm 40 years old. I grew up in a life pre-millennial where I remember if I had a crush on a girl in high school, I actually had to go up to her face to face and tell her. You know, I put myself in those vulnerable positions, risking embarrassment, risking being turned down. I also grew up in a time where if I wanted to call that individual or call a friend, if it was late at night, I risked, mom or dad answering the phone. Those are those little rushes in life that I feel millennials and they don't get to experience that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's the kind of things that have made me stronger in my life. So in my life, what do you want in life? There's nobody that's going to give you what you want in life. So I really encourage you that if you're missing somebody, call them. If you have something on your mind, if you want to change, if you want a career path change, if you need help with something, ask. Don't sit on the phone scrolling through TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, all these things that are just wasting our time. If you have a problem with something, bring it to your director of golf, speak up. Share your concerns with industry members, with members of the RGX community. That is what we are here for. That's why they are here for. And more importantly, if you love something or you love somebody, tell them. I think we have 2 lives to live. The one that we're living now, and maybe we feel like we're stuck in, and then the one that we start living once we realize we only have one. start getting a job and making career decisions based on what's going to make you happy. I always love this slide from Dana. And yeah, I understand he's worth millions, but I really love this where Dana said he hates 3-day weekends because he cannot wait for Monday to come. That's how much he loves what he does. And if that's not your mentality, guys and girls, it's not healthy for you and it's time for a change. So I'm going to do my best to share my story, not put you to sleep, but really quick, I was born in a small community of Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, where life was very simple. I played very little golf as a junior. I wanted to be a pro hockey player. Very Canadian of me, right? I was married at a young age. And when my hockey career, where I was drafted, my pro career came to an end after my 5th or 6th concussion. I went to Fort McMurray, Alberta, which is west of Canada, where everybody back home kind of went because there wasn't a lot of resources or industry in Nova Scotia. And that's where everybody went to make the big bucks. Becoming a golf professional definitely wasn't part of the plan or my original journey. But I do remember, like most of us, when I did have that membership at the Dundee Resort in Nova Scotia for those 3 years, I'm pretty sure I said, man, I would love to be a golf pro at least 1,000 times over those 3 years. I was in Fort McMurray for about 12 years. And in 2014, I was going through a divorce. I was overweight. I was really unhappy. I lost my relationship with God, with my family, with my kids. I wasn't playing sports. To be honest, I really lost my passion for athletics altogether. I was working in a remote area where a lot of my time was in a camp, working remotely. And I always tell this story to everybody that when I was in Nova Scotia in 2001 to 2003, after high school, I took a job as a loans officer, and I was making $20,000 a year. And I was the happiest I've ever been in my life. I had everything I ever wanted. I had a community. I had my friends. My family was happy. And then when I moved to Fort McMurray from 2005 or 6 to say 2012, I have no problem saying that I took in over $1 million over that span, and I had nothing, and I was miserable. So more money doesn't always make you happy. In 2015, there was a large forest fire in Fort McMurray where the community of, say, 50,000 people had to relocate. And the closest town from Fort McMurray was Leduc, Alberta, or Edmonton, Alberta, 500 kilometers south. At that time, I just started dating my new girlfriend, Melissa, who was nice enough to give me a place to live. And after being laid off for a couple of months, she asked me one of the craziest questions of my life. She asked me what I wanted to do. And for the first time in my life, I was going to finally answer that question on how it was going to make me happy, not how it was going to make people around me happy. And I was stuck. I really didn't know how to answer the question. So what had happened was I applied for a pro shop position at a nearby golf course in Edmonton. I achieved that job in May. After just a couple of months, the director of golf there asked me if I'd be interested in getting into the golf industry. I had no idea what that meant, but I said, sure, because it's got to be the coolest job in the world to be a golf pro, right? So in September, the last player ability test was available for me to take. And again, I did not play a lot of golf in my life. I think my best score to that point was like 85. I haven't played, I might have played golf 20 times in the last 15 years. But I went anyway, thanks to the encouragement of the staff and my wife, Melissa, who's always going to take credit for this story because she was my caddy going through this 2-round player ability test. And she supported me 2 days. I ended up pulling the 2 best rounds of my life out of my butt. And I passed my player ability test by 2 shots. So that was honestly one of the biggest, greatest accomplishments of my life, passing that, getting drafted, and then passing this test. So now it's the off season. So I'm applying for work. I get a job that's honestly across the road from me in Leduc at the Leduc golf course. They signed me to a 3-year contract as acting head club professional. And I'm starting to get my 3 pillars back in my life. I'm starting to get back in shape, playing a little bit of golf. I joined a hockey league. I'm starting to get my family and community back. So my 3 pillars are coming back. I can tell. So 3 years passed by really, really quick. And my 40-hour-a-week job now becomes a 24/7 task. And it's really getting to me. It gets to me to the point where I start asking myself, and this was a joke that me and the director would always share amongst each other. So when something bad would happen and we would fix it, we would always end it by saying, so you really want to be a golf pro, right? And then we always made fun of the acronym Canadian PGA, which really stood for Can't Play Golf Anymore. And so as a golf pro for 3 years, I can honestly say in those 3 years, I might have played 30, 35 rounds of golf over those 3 years. So it got me to the point where I was questioning, do I want to be a golf pro? And I wanted to put this question out to the group. Feel free to type it in the chat box. But when you were pursuing your career as a golf pro, did you really know what being a golf pro meant? What it entailed? Honestly, I can honestly say that I didn't. And what I thought it was definitely wasn't what it was when I achieved when I achieved those goals and I got the position. Those 3 years went by really quick. And although I felt like these accomplishments, this great accomplishment in my life had me answering phones and taking tea times and putting out fires on a daily basis, answering my phone and emails 24/7, coordinating these events, which to be honest was the best part of my job, to be honest. I didn't play golf anymore, which in turn made me really nervous when it gave opportunities for me to play in a pro-am, or if a member asked me to do a playing ability, like to go on the course and do a playing lesson. I couldn't make contact with the ball. So I was really nervous. I put all this pressure on myself. And although I had the greatest job on the planet, over those 3 years, I again was losing my connection with my family, with my wife. My relationship with God was out the window. I was getting my wife was mad at me all the time because I was always putting the tasks or what was needed at the course ahead of me and her. I couldn't sleep. I was getting depressed. And I couldn't help but ask myself if it was my fault. In Fort McMurray, I worked a lot of positions where I was in a management position, and I was never a finger pointer. I would always try and look at the bigger picture and ask the question, is it me? Am I doing my job? Am I putting myself in these positions where I'm overworked? So at the end of my 3-year contract, the director of golf tells me that he's going a different direction. He's going to bring in a new head pro, and he wants me to be a full-time teacher. So I'm really pissed off at this point, to be quite honest. I took it the wrong way. I felt like I gave this club everything that I had in the last 3 years, and this is how I was being repaid for it. And then reality started sinking in a little bit. I worked my entire life to get that 2-week paycheck. And now that 2-week paycheck is no longer there. I'm now responsible for that 2-week paycheck. So I honestly felt like I got run over. I felt like I was alone. I couldn't believe just what had happened to me. Reality really starts setting in that I need to begin building a business plan. And I'm trying to build this empire overnight. Meaning I'm thinking like I'm thinking, how do I attract hundreds and hundreds of students? How do I build this empire? How do I build a marketing campaign? I'm trying to build my success on the success of other coaches like Kyle Morris and Mike Bender and Sean Foley. I see these guys all over social media. They're doing so many great things, but I don't really understand that they probably have 50 or 60 people working for them, and I'm just one person. All I know is that I hate doing 1-hour private lessons. I'm definitely don't want to be stuck on the range 8 hours a day. I feel like the traditional model of instruction is broken. I'm not getting value for my students, and I really don't know what to do. So I spend, honestly, 8 to 10 hours a day for the next 3 weeks in my little office that you see here, trying to really reinvent the wheel, to come up with these ideas and how I can be successful. I'm doing these do-it-yourself videos to build a website, learning how to do marketing campaigns, listening to all these people that have great success on Facebook and Instagram. But at the end of the day, I felt alone, like nobody could hear me. And Dan knows this. I'm not scared to ask for help. I was calling lots of people within the industry, begging for help, begging for guidance. And I felt like I was alone. I was in a scary place. And honestly, guys, I really had no idea what I was doing. So I go to, I think it's a Monday morning, and today is all about trying to put together programs to be the best coach that I can be. So I'm Googling golf programs, and I come across Sarah Dant Golf. I check out her website. The programming looks awesome. Everybody looks like they're having a good time. And I'm like, this chick knows what she's doing, right? She's offering some really cool programs. She's offering this scoring method program, which seems kind of cool. And like I said, I'm not scared to ask for help. So I reach out to Sarah by email and by phone. Sarah is grateful enough to return my phone call. And after, honestly, a 3-minute phone call with Sarah, she cuts me off and she says, Chad, you need to call Will Robbins. I said, okay, I'm going to call Will Robbins. I don't know who Will Robbins is. So I Google Will, look up RGX, find RGX, send him an email. 2 days later, I'm on a phone call with Will Robbins, which is kind of cool. Now, I don't know if it's this guy's energy, if it's his haircut, if it's those eyes or that accent, but I was hooked. I felt like God himself just reached out and gave me a big hug. I felt a lot of relief come off my shoulders, like finally somebody's listening to me. Somebody can hear me, finally. And then after 5 minutes, after Will is talking with me, he tells me about the RGX bootcamp. He tells me about the financial commitment that I need to get into the bootcamp. And in my head, I'm like, Jesus, I'm broke. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So that I go from this extreme high to an extreme low within minutes. So we get off the phone call, we schedule a call for like 10 days later, which we're going to pick up from where we left off. And I'm going to do what I can to try and register for this boot camp. In my head, I'm like, I'm not asking my wife, she'll kill me. I'm not asking my parents. I'm going to roll the dice. I need $2,500 to get into this boot camp, which I know is going to change my life forever. So I want it. I need it. I fill out a Capital One MasterCard application. I said, I'm going to roll the dice. I roll it. It comes back about 6 days later. I've been approved for $3,000. And all I need is $2,500. So my prayer has been answered. All right, so I'm good. I'm in a good spot. So I started working with RGX. So I got to take advantage of this, right? I need this. So I go into boot camp. I'm stoked. I'm pumped. So I'm going into this boot camp, which with what I think I need, what I want. This is what I want. I need a business plan right now. Well, this is what I want, right? So as a good coach, we're not giving our students what they want. We're giving them what they need, right? So this is the exact same approach that RGX has taught me and what they did going through this boot camp. I went through this boot camp knowing that this beautiful picture on the right is why I want this. These are my kids in this picture. I needed more family time. I wanted to make 6-figure income. I don't know why, just sounded cool. I needed a business plan and I needed programs. I need to build a website. I need a marketing strategy. What I wanted versus what I needed never even came close after spending some time with the RGX family in this boot camp. What they showed me was how to get vulnerable, I maybe even have cried on one of my phone calls with these guys. Maybe. I think it's just a rumor. But I really found out who I truly was. I found out that I was definitely part of my own problem. I was getting in my own way. I was creating a lot of these problems on my own by not understanding or knowing how to say no. I found out who I wanted to work with and who I wanted not to work with. I found out what my true purpose was in the industry. I found out what my story was. And I found out by just believing in my story and believing in my purpose that, like that picture on the last slide, and Rome wasn't built overnight. I started laying bricks every day and telling my story to my students, which in turn was the best advice I ever could have done in my life. So I'm going to see if this works.
Like whenever I do business, it's not about the money. I heard Jeff Bezos say one time when he was talking, he said he makes his investment based on if it's going to change people's lives. And once I started doing that strategy, I think I probably quadrupled what I'm worth now. Like,
I love that, what Shaq says. I'm doing what I love doing right now because I want to change people's lives. I want to get them results. I want to give them an experience and give them value for their dollar. I remember on one of my boot camp calls, if you don't know who he is, Jay Cook really put me in my place one day. I was talking about the money that I was going to spend on a marketing campaign. And he'd ask everybody on the call, what do you think my marketing budget is every year? How much money do you think I spend? And Jay Cook's been around for a little while. And we're all throwing out numbers like $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. And Jay starts laughing and his answer is like that many dollars. Okay, so you definitely don't need a large marketing campaign or all the bells and whistles to produce effective programming and retain your students. So working with RGX, I completed my boot camp. I began utilizing result-based coaching models like the scoring method and their junior league program. I learned how to manage my time a lot more wisely, how to budget my money. And the biggest one for me was I learned how to say no, which was extremely hard for me. Providing result-driven programs and improving or increasing my hourly rate got me to the point where I was working less and making more. And I learned the biggest part, my biggest success story of 2021 was honestly just giving my students a voice. Because honestly, a lot of them are intimidated and scared to play the game, and they just want to be heard. They just want somebody to talk to. Material things will not make you happy, but being useful to others will. So what I've accomplished in 2021, I'm a much better person, father, husband, and golf coach. I played 71 rounds of golf this year. I've never played 71 rounds of golf in my life. I've had time to travel with friends, like you see in this picture to the right. We just got back from Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. We played in a pro-am down there. In 2021, not only did I achieve my students or save my students over 100 shots, I built a lot of relationships that I know that are going to last a lifetime. I now base my success on the results that I get from my students, the value that I get them, not on money. I have a waiting list for next year, which is pretty cool. I've never had that before. I still get inquiries daily and weekly. Some personal success stories this year. I was named top 15 PGA of Alberta professional within my industry and named a finalist for Junior Leader of the Year for the second time, which is pretty cool. And this last bullet point is in small font for a purpose because it doesn't have a lot of meaning to me. But I made $80,000 in 4 months, working 20 hours a week, which is pretty cool. So this is what I really want all you coaches to know. Don't underestimate the power of simply being a good person. When you're struggling, within the industry, if you want to be a better coach, if you want to be a better industry member, period, and you don't know what your path is, you don't know how to get there, you're not alone. I felt like I was alone for a long time. Working with the right students allows you to work less and work more, and stop investing your time on somebody that you might like. Invest your time based on how much they invest in you. It's a really good quote, and something that I really live by. You need to start changing your mindset. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. And develop your story. Improve your communication skills. Because once you start opening your mouth, people are going to really know who you are. I achieve opportunities, testimonials, referrals without even asking, without even trying now. And that's based on these approaches that I've taken as a full-time coach. And last but not least, don't fear failure. The reason why most people fail is because they give up on what they want most for what they want now. I still do it. I still stumble. I've been trying to get back in shape for a month, and I still always find myself going to Subway or McDonald's a couple of times a week. I think fear is an illusion. Fear will help you. Fear is your friend. We need to have something that pushes us. So let fear be that motivation. We all have desires and goals and dreams. Let the fear of failure provide us with the feedback that we need to mold the perfect you. If you try and you fail, congrats. I love this quote. Most people won't even try to fail. And the fear and the support of RGX will help you reach your true potential. So what's next for me? Well, I hope to continue providing my students with value and an experience on result-based coaching. I'm going to continue growing the game from the grassroots because that's what I love to do. And showing adult beginners, female, male, who might be intimidated by the game, that golf is for everyone. I'd like to see myself get to a position where I could grow my business, bring in some coaches that share in the same beliefs that I do, and take my business to that next level. I don't know how to do that, but I know I have the support from the RGX team, and I'm confident that I will someday get there. And I do like to be in, I'd love to be in Dan's shoes some days, where I hold the RGX mentor status, so I can continue working with coaches just like you and just like me, achieve the success that they deserve and be a voice when they need it. Some great books that I've read, if you guys are into reading, these are books that I reached out one day where I was in my off season. I needed something to do. I was working on my business, and I reached out directly to Will. And I asked him a simple question. Hey, do you got any good books to read? And he, of course, being Will, responded with like a 12-minute audio answer, giving me a bunch of options. And Atomic Habits is a really great book that really helps you understand the good and bad habits that you have and how to build on them or how to break them. The Purpose-Driven Life is a book that I really love. It really talks about, it's a biblical book about the fellowship and what your true purpose here as a human being is. I really love the book of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Hoots by Mark Manson. It's a great book on really establishing the real things that you should be worried about in life and stop worried about the things that really don't matter to you. So those are there if you ever have any questions, and then I'm going to open up the floor to some questions. So if anybody has any questions, raise your hand, put it in the chat box. I'm sure Dan will have a couple things to say.
Well, so I think all of our goal from here on out should be to make you cry. That's going to be our goal. And I'm surprised you're able to kind of keep it together. So good for you. Because no, Chad is an emotional guy. He wears his emotion on his sleeve, but really genuine. And I say that because, as long as I've known and been on calls with Chad, he's been the same guy. And that's really cool to see. So I guess, my question for you, we've done, we've had different Mastermind Monday calls. And one of the things I really like from your presentation, and that I made a comment on one of these pre-call meetings was your logo. How did you come up with this logo that you came up with? It feels very Van Halen-ish.
I've always been a doodler. I've been an artsy guy. I love putting together logos and customizing logos. I put together a few for a couple of local golf courses. So it's just something that I like doing in my spare time. One thing that I loved doing growing up was I wanted to be a pro hockey player. So I always practiced my signature. And I always thought my dad had a cool signature. And I always tried starting to, repeat it or copy it and establish what my own signature would be, because that's unique to you. And I like those kind of things. And it kind of grew my passion for artsy fartsy stuff. So I'm a doodler. So I honestly put this together, a combination of a couple of ideas that I had in my own mind and using a couple of branding tools. And to be honest, the only thing that I really had was the CF. I really liked the CF, how it fills the circle. And my director of golf actually suggested maybe trying to get golf in there somewhere. So
yeah,
he helped me put that golf word in there. And yeah, I'm just I'm a doodler.
Sharp, man. Well, that's my softball question. So now I'm going to ask you the hard-hitting question. Chad, if you could go back and you could talk to Chad Feener maybe 14 months ago before embarking on this RGX journey, what piece of advice would you give that Chad Feener?
I gave this advice to my nephew 2 nights ago on our way to the hockey game. And he's just out of high school. He's going through college and he's looking for work. And he's looking for work the same way that I was looking for work. And that was based on the hourly rate and how much money you were going to get every 2 weeks. And I told him what I kind of told myself before I started, or when I started boot camp. What I learned was start asking the hard questions and making answers or giving answers from your heart and with your happiness in mind. I grew up, honestly, if I had a job at the grocery store making $10 an hour and across the street the other grocery store was offering $10.25, I would go to the other grocery store because it was $10.25, not because the staff was better or the environment was better. So the biggest thing that I would have changed would have been making an employment decision based on my happiness. Like Dana said, where you look forward to go to work on Monday, regardless of the rate, regardless of how much money you're going to make. Because that happiness is, I think that's the first step in really truly defining who you are. And that was a game changer for me.
And I think Kevin just posted it in the chat box, do what you love and the money will follow. It's that same expression. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So I give you a lot of credit. I know when we were talking in advance of this call, one of the things we talked about was the idea of fear, and being afraid to maybe take the next step that, your case, right? Your club comes to you and says they want to go in another direction. And you're kind of like, you go through the whole range of emotions. You're shocked, you're sad, then you're angry. But I think all of those things, beneath the surface, there's some fear there. It's like, oh no, now what? What was that moment like when you basically were told we're going to move in another direction and not knowing what your future was going to hold?
Yeah, so I took it to heart, and definitely I was emotional with it because I was there for 3 years. I had a really good relationship with the director of golf, and the membership at this club was my community. Just to put it in perspective, I was married in May 2019, and 75% of my guests were members from the club. This place meant a lot to me. So the initial, I felt like I was blindsided by a friend. 2, I was losing my first pillar, which was friendship, my second pillar, which was my community that I finally found. So that hurt. I was stuck in that grieving or anger stage for probably 3 or 4 days. And like in my slide, you can't let yourself get stuck in those places. It's okay. We all grieve differently. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to be upset. But the real fear after the disappointment, the disappointing of the decision was I was over that part. Then the fear setting was like, oh my God, I'm by myself. I'm responsible for, supporting my family, supporting myself. I'm responsible for that 2-week paycheck. And I was scared because I've never been there before. I've been unemployed before and searching for work before, but I was never solely responsible for earning that money. And that was a place that I was not familiar with. And I was, definitely, I was scared. I was alone. And my wife helped with that. A couple of close friends in the industry helped with that, get me through that. And then RGX took me by the hand and took me the rest of the way.
Now, when you look back on that, I mean, it's not something you would have done on your own, leaving the position and going down this road. But now when you look back, do you feel like you have the perspective that, that was maybe somebody pushing you off the spot to make you uncomfortable to do something that you wouldn't have done on your own?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to get past the emotional part for me.
Yeah.
Just that connection that I had with the club. You can't help but being a human sometimes and taking things personally or not taking a moment to step back and look at the big picture. It took me a minute to realize and to do that. And I've learned that, 42 years old. I've worked since I was 13. I've been through disappointment and change, and nobody likes change. Nobody likes being alone. And that's what I honestly felt. That was the biggest thing with me. I was alone. I didn't feel like anybody could relate to what I was going through. And I know there's thousands and thousands of golf pros out there that are probably in similar positions.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was only thinking about me. I was only thinking about how it impacted me and my family, my wife, and my kids. That was it. And again, it took me honestly a week just to take a step back. Things happen for a reason. Let's take the positives out of it. It's like Michael Jordan's dad tells him in The Last Dance, you got to take a negative and turn it into a positive. Little things like that, sometimes it takes time to realize, and it did take me a minute to get over it. But when I look back at it now, I think about it had to be tough for my director of golf to be in that position to tell me and make that decision. He had to have his own reasons for it, and he was doing it probably for the benefit of the club. It wasn't a direct attack on me. It took me a minute to realize that too. Well, all in all, it had to happen for this to happen. So
There you go. Ross, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a couple of things. I got a question at the end, but a couple of things I really liked that you said today, Chad. Like trying to compare yourself to social media, knowing that it's just a highlight reel and it's not the reality, and it will drag you down. I thought that was a cool point. When you love somebody, tell them. I tell my students all the time how much I enjoy working with them. But a few years ago, when I worked with so many people, I couldn't do that because I was working with too many people to build those relationships. Wasn't seeing them often enough. Didn't know who and why I wanted to coach them. But now it's like every student that walks up, I really can do that. And that helps establish that relationship. And, I went through the same boot camp as Chad, and Chad and I are always bouncing around ideas off each other. And I really enjoyed his energy. And my favorite thing about RGX is the community. I think that, the golf industry has small communities, but I think RGX has taken it and making it much more effective. And so, like sharing your concerns with the community, Chad, can you, just touch on that? Like, I can't tell you how many times over the year that I've reached out to coaches inside RGX. I mean, on a monthly or weekly basis, or the community post in general, gotten answers back, implemented them, and just absolutely rocked the house with it.
Yeah. And I'm the same. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if I have a question where I feel I could use some guidance, somebody else has already asked the question and it's already posted in the community. Or if it's not there, like you said, I've had great response from like just whatever, maybe a month ago I posted, what kind of off-season programs are we doing to keep ourselves active and keep the revenue rolling in our off-season. I mean, you got a bundle of information from lots of coaches within the community. And I also wanted to make just so everybody on here is clear. I love what I do. I love being a golf professional. What the RGX community has shown me is that one size doesn't fit all. We're all in different situations and we have our own obstacles that we have to face. But because of that community and that support, if you ever feel like you're stuck and you're stuck to the job description at your golf course and you feel like you have more to offer, like, you're not alone. There's thousands of golf pros that probably feel the exact same way. And the RGX community can definitely help you put that in perspective and help you make that leap within whatever your career path looks like. We can help get you there.
I like that, Chad. I'd say for every one RGX coach that has taken that leap and has, put themselves out there to feel vulnerable in front of other golf professionals, there's probably 1,000 golf professionals in the opposite boat that have not been able to allow themselves to feel vulnerable. And I know probably you and Dan feel the same way. It's hard for us sometimes to not be able to help everybody. But when we try to help every single person, we can only bring us down, bring our relationships down. And that's the power now. Yeah. But I can't imagine how many people are out there wishing that they could take a leap like you did.
Good.
So has anybody seen Chad's The Power of No video that he posted onto the RGX community page? YouTube sensation, Chad Feener. But I think that's, this goes back, when you're feeling alone and you're wondering, where do I go, or where do I take my business, or how do I become a better coach, whatever that is, that's what the RGX community is all about. And, I know that, where I work, maybe you've had a similar experience. If I was successful where I was in the shop, I felt like I had to sort of temper my excitement because I didn't want the other guys that I was working in, who were working with me in the shop to be jealous. I didn't want there to be professional jealousy. I had to work with these people every day. And the one thing I will say about the RGX community is that I haven't experienced any professional jealousy because everybody's experiencing success at a very high level. And there's so much to go around. I mean, this isn't just a nationwide movement, it's a worldwide movement to revolutionize golf instruction, and there's enough for everybody. And so, when Chad posts a success story or Ross posts a success story, I celebrate that alongside them. It's not adversarial. I'm not like, oh man, I'm not jealous. There's no professional jealousy there. It's just, that's awesome, and then by going out and doing these RGX spotlight calls, you learn from other coaches who are doing this again at a very high level. And like Ross was saying, what is it that they're doing that maybe I can do at, my facility and that I can implement? And you don't have to wait to implement these suggestions or ideas. You don't have to wait for the next call. You go into the community, you post a message, you get some feedback, and then boom, you're off and running, and you're implementing those things in your own business and experiencing the same level of success. So that's, I think, one of the things that sets RGX apart from, other, coaching programs or golf coaching programs that are out there. And that's really what it's all about. I mean, if you're in a place where you're looking to, experience greater results or have a higher degree of success, rgxcoach.com/explore is where to go. It's where you can start your conversation. You can talk to somebody like Will Robbins, who I think was a lot of our initial point of contact, and just a really captivating, energetic, exciting speaker. Maybe it's just because he has a British accent, so he gets a free pass. I don't know what it is, but
his haircut.
It must be. So, I mean, that's what kind of gets the ball rolling. And then, you work with this whole team of people in this RGX community to really boil down to what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it. Because when you really believe what it is that you're feeling and what you want to do, then your passion gets ignited. And it's like I've described, it's like being on fire. It's like, just get out of my way. You know, it's not something that you just want to do anymore. It's something that you have to do. That's how strongly you feel about it. And that's what RGX is there to help you unpack, is, you know, those feelings and those desires and why it is you really want to do what you want to do. So it's a really, really powerful thing. Chad, did you have anything else you'd like to add, or Ross, before we part ways on this Thursday?
I got one more slide that I want to share, and then we'll end it.
Yeah, it sounds great.
So the last one is, it's just a little challenge for everybody on the call. You know, understand that, you know, no one else is going to do it for you. Nobody's going to tell you to get off the couch or off your phone, stop watching TV. Nobody. Where you are today is honestly just a reflection of your past thoughts. So just change that mindset. If you want to change your future, you need to change those thoughts. So I like this quote too. Like, by the end of the year, like, start setting yourself up with some goals. Write them down. Give them, you know, set some timelines. It doesn't have to be crazy. You don't gotta build, like I said, you don't gotta build that empire overnight. But start laying down those bricks in that foundation and start believing in yourself. And that'll get you to that next level. And I'm gonna play this anyway because I like it. And it's you know, start saying thank you to yourself once in a while, just like Snoop. This is a good one.
Last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. I want to thank me for having no days off. I want to thank me for never quitting. I want to thank me for always being a giver and trying to give more than I receive. I want to thank me for trying to do more right than wrong. I want to thank me for just being me at all times.
And that's really what it is, man. Like, give yourself a pat on the back. This job is rewarding. Just be a good person. And at the end of the day, if you being a better person is better for not just yourself, but everybody around you. So
I love it. Well, and I'm just rereading a book, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it, you know, one of the things that you mentioned, and, you know, thanking yourself, not being afraid to appreciate, and Ross, you mentioned this just a couple of minutes ago, but not being afraid to tell your players how much you appreciate them, and that everybody really wants to feel appreciated and important. And so not to forget to let your players know how much you appreciate them and how important they are to you, not just because it's the holidays, but really all year round. So that's great.
100%.
Awesome. Well, Chad, if you want to hang on for just a couple more minutes, guys, thank you so much for guys and gals for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Go out there and have a great Thursday. Go get it done. And hopefully we'll be talking to you on the RGX community page. Thank you so much.